So for me to have to sit here and listen again to more crap about socialized medicine.
Now Michael Moore tells us exactly what set him off, and Sanjay Gupta weighs in on his fact check of sicko.
Hello?
And then he hired a thug to have her blinded and maimed.
Hi, how are you?
And when he got out of prison, they got married. And after his affair led to a scandalous trial, they're still together. Meet the stranger-than-fiction couple who star in the new movie Crazy Love. All next on Larry King Live. Good evening. My guests tonight are filmmaker Michael Moore and CNN's chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta. They're here to talk about a flap yesterday on CNN's Situation Room. Michael Moore was Wolf Blitzer's guest. He was on to talk about his new movie, Sicko. Before the interview, the show played a fact check piece on Sicko by Dr. Gupta. Mr. Moore took great exception to that report when Wolf interviewed him after it ran. Now let's watch an edited version of that exchange.
That report was so biased. I can't imagine what pharmaceutical company ad's coming up right after our break here. But, you know, why don't you tell the truth to the American people? I mean, I wish that CNN and the other mainstream media would just for once tell the truth about what's going on in this country. Whether it's with health care, I don't care what it is. I mean, you guys have such a poor track record. And for me to come on here and have to listen to that kind of crap, I mean, seriously.
I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Sanjay Gupta's record, but I would stack up his record on medical issues with virtually anyone in the business.
All right, so when I now put on my website, as I will do tonight, how his facts were wrong about the $7,000 that we spend. It's actually, I've read one report now, it's even more than $7,000 that we spend per person each year in this country. I'm going to put the real facts up there on my website so people can see what he just said was absolutely wrong.
If we get that confirmed, obviously we'll correct the record, Sanjay, but I'm just saying.
Oh, you will, good.
Obviously, Sanjay Gupta
You'll be getting it.
is not only a doctor and a neurosurgeon, but he's also an excellent journalist.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
We're not going to cut a second of it out if you want to tape something.
You'll run it unedited.
And we'll run it unedited.
And people can go to my...
People can go to your website. It's a free country. They can find out the truth, whatever it is.
About Dr. Sanjay Gupta, they can find out about his facts, right? We can find that out, right?
Absolutely.
By the way, that report that you just saw was updated from the version that ran yesterday. The original report did have one error. Before I get to Michael Moore, let me ask Sanjay to what happened with that correction.
Yeah, we made a mistake, Larry, with regards to the per capita spending for Cubans. Michael correctly, he said 251 in the movie. We said 25, misquoting him, $25 per capita in the piece, and that was a mistake of ours. It was an error of transcription, and we want to get these facts and figures right as a doctor and a journalist, so we corrected that, but we wanted to make sure we just made that very transparent.
Michael, what ticked you off so much about that report?
Well, there's still a lot of facts that remain untrue in that report.
Go.
And, okay. I'll start with the per capita that we spend in this country per person. The film says nearly $7,000 per person in the United States we spend on health care every year. Dr. Gupta said it was around $6,000. Unfortunately, he's using old statistics from 2004. My statistics are actually from Mr. Bush's Health and Human Services Department from 2007. And that's only one of a number of things he uses, the Cuban longevity rates.
How vast is the difference?
He's using, you mean the longevity rates?
No, between what he reported being spent and you report being spent.
It's about a $1,400 difference now, right? This year, Health and Human Services says that we're going to spend about $7,400 per person in this country, not $6,000 as Dr. Gupta said. He's using 2004 statistics. Now, here's the sad thing about this, Larry, is that this is now the third time this report ran. It first ran on Anderson Cooper right after I was on your show on June 29th. The day before, on June 28th, we spoke to Dr. Gupta's senior producer, Chris Kajillan, and we gave her in writing all the facts and all the evidence in the backup for those facts. So they've known now since June 28th that all their facts are wrong.
All right, now hold it right there.
Email right here.
Okay, all right. I believe.
Right
hold on a
here.
second. I'm sure you said, hold on, Michael.
Producer.
Hold on. I'm going to be balanced here. Sanjay, you want to respond that he gave you the facts and you didn't run the facts he gave you?
Well, you know, look, we try and look for some of the best sources that we can possibly find because we think we owe that to our viewers. Michael has a lot of different numbers here, and he's pulling them from different places. One quick example, Michael, I think you're going to agree with me on this. Just hang on one second. $251 is what you cited in the movie as the per capita spending, which I just corrected, by the way. You heard that. Per capita in Cuba, you have $229 on your website. So your website and your movie, first of all, don't jibe. But I think even more interesting.
That's not true. There you go again. There you go again.
Michael, give me one second, Mike. Let me just finish. That's where you pulled that 251 number was a BBC report, which, by the way, stated that the per capita spending in the United States was $5,700. You chose not to use the $5,700 from one report. You chose to go to a totally different report, and you're sort of cherry picking data from different reports. I know that
that's not true either.
Why didn't you use the 5,700 number from the BBC report? That's where you got the 251.
Because it's not true.
Why did you use the 251?
I'm using President Bush's own statistics from Health and Human Services, and I put this up on my website so people can go and source it themselves.
Michael, you're using projected numbers, though, right? You're using projected numbers. We're using actual numbers. You're using projected numbers.
And in the movie, right, in the movie, I used the number from Health and Human Services, which I said nearly $7,000 per person, and Health and Human Services last year said it was a little over $7,000. So that statistic is correct.
In essence, though, fellas, hold on.
Let me just finish, though. I posted this email that we had with your producer a day before this report ran, so that you had all the facts. You ran the story knowing that the facts were wrong. And I posted this 5 minutes ago.
Michael, just
so people can read this for themselves.
Just because you say they're wrong, I mean, it doesn't make it so, Michael. I mean, we try and do what you do. We try and get the best data available.
I'm not the one saying it's wrong. President Bush says
Michael,
you're wrong.
Don't interrupt. Won't interrupt.
You took issue with the ranking of the United States healthcare versus Cuba, 37 versus 39. We use World Health Organization data. We use the World Health Organization data for the numbers that you just heard in terms of per capita spending. We use the World Health Organization data for mortality rates as well. I mean, you say that I was flatly untrue in terms of the mortality in Cuba versus mortality in the United States. Michael, you just can't say things like that without backing it up. I can show you the data. You've seen it yourself, which I think is most irksome because you know that there's data out there that actually shows the United States mortality rates are actually lower.
In essence, Dr. Gupta, did you like the movie?
I thought it was a good movie, and I wanted to say that. And I think listen, I think it strikes at this irrefutable fact that just about every American that you speak to, Michael, that I've spoken to, is unhappy with our healthcare system. It's broken. We get it. And the fact that you try and peg me or anybody else with somehow being responsible or not fixing it in some way, I think is ludicrous. I thought it was a good movie because you're going to raise awareness about this very important issue.
That's what I didn't understand. Why, Michael, did you get so mad? I thought that report was kind of balanced. And in the end, he agreed with you.
Yeah. In the end, he said the facts were fudged. And, well, he said the facts were fudged. That's a lie. And so anybody who speaks a lie, none of the facts are fudged. And it's all there. I'll give you, this is a good example, Larry, and I asked you before we went on if your producer could put up the slides, because he said that we didn't point out that Cuba was number 39. It's right there in the movie, right there on the screen. You can see Cuba is 39. And when he ran his report, anybody who TiVoed it can rerun it now, and you can see that they've covered up, the CNN logos have covered up Cuba as number 39. It's right there, and he's just not telling the truth. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can just go to Health and Human Services.